This is the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather and Connie Chung.
Good evening. Connie is off tonight. President Clinton lined up the leadership of the National Rifle Association in his crosshairs today, targeting the opening of the NRA membership meeting in Arizona. The president responded to an NRA leadership apology with a challenge. He said if leaders of the NRA now are truly sorry for a fundraising letter equating federal peace officers with Nazis, then he has just the way for them to show it. Reed Galen reports from Phoenix.
As the NRA's national convention began in Phoenix, the president fired another shot.
They made the money by attacking the police. They admitted they did the wrong thing. They ought to give the money up.
He was suggesting that donations resulting from a controversial fundraising letter in which the NRA described federal agents as jackbooted thugs be turned over to a fund for the families of slain police officers. This week, NRA Executive Vice President Wayne LaPierre backed away from the language in that letter.
Now, if the NRA's apology is sincere, what they ought to do is put their money where their mouth is.
In a written statement, the NRA officially thanked the president for the suggestion. At the convention, some members echo the anti-government sentiment of that controversial letter.
I think the NRA is probably the only link in our society that will keep the freedom and the Second Amendment and the First Amendment and whatever.
As the powerful NRA goes all out to repeal the assault weapons ban and fight absolutely anything it considers gun control, LaPierre says expect more of the same.
That's what our country's about. It's the Bill of Rights, it's the Constitution, and you bet we're going to speak out whether it's controversial or not.
But there is some division in the organization about the absolute no-compromise profile the NRA presents. In a local poll here in Phoenix on the eve of the convention, a third of NRA members asked said they felt the leadership is out of touch with the membership. Frustrated members fear wholesale defections.
They just don't want to be in a militant organization, and they will not renew.
This 124th annual convention begins under a national spotlight with the NRA at a crossroad. Reed Galen, CBS News, Phoenix.
There were ceremonies all over the country today to mark the one-month anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing. In places like Portland, Oregon, trees were planted in memory of the 167 people known to have died. Law enforcement officers in Oklahoma City paid tribute to the 12 federal agents among the dead. Oklahoma Governor Frank Keating promised again to bring the bombers to justice. In Washington, on Capitol Hill, the federal budget battle shifted from the House to the Senate today, and Republicans started it off with a symbolic slap at President Clinton's budget plans. CBS News White House correspondent Rita Braver has that story.
The Senate began its debate by declaring President Clinton's 1996 budget dead on arrival. Democrats had done the same thing to Republican presidents, so it was the Republicans' turn for a presidential put-down.
They say his is better than ours. We'd like to have a vote and see.
Certain the Clinton budget would lose, Democrats voted against it too.
This is not a serious vote.
But the 99-0 count still looked bad for President Clinton. He's hoping the Senate will pass less drastic tax and spending cuts than the House approved yesterday, but Republicans made it clear they will not spare education, Medicare, or other programs he favors.
The president is so committed to preserving the government he knows and loves, programs that he has a political and emotional attachment to, that it doesn't matter that in the last 40 years those programs have failed.
The president's response to Senator Graham:
I want to cut spending, but I want to change the way the government works here. And I would urge him to stop protecting the Republican pork, just as I'm willing to scrap the Democratic pork.
But coming up with a long-term budget plan seems even more excruciating in light of the escalating combat over revising this year's budget plan. The White House and Congress are battling over where to make $16.4 billion worth of cuts in previously funded programs. But the situation has degenerated into a volley of he said, they said letters. The White House to Republicans: go back to work immediately and make the changes the president wants. Republicans to the White House: you are playing games. And of course, both sides are calling for bipartisan cooperation. Rita Braver, CBS News at the White House.
In a bid to head off even deeper cuts in the budget, the U.S. Space Agency today proposed its own $35 billion 5-year cutback plan. NASA says it is prepared to reduce staffing to the lowest level since 1961 without closing any of its 10 major facilities and without, it says, compromising safety. Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, our expert witness, Dominic Dunn, on O.J. Simpson's devastating week in court as the scientific evidence against him mounts. Also tonight, Eye on America, one woman's campaign trying to make sure crime doesn't pay.
I love working in the theater, and despite the arthritis that runs in my family, I plan to keep right on working. The Arthritis Foundation is working too, to find a cure. But until they do, they've helped to create new Arthritis Foundation pain relievers. For pain relief we can count on, from nighttime discomfort to the pain of inflammation. And part of our purchase price goes to research, so we're helping others as we help ourselves. New Arthritis Foundation pain relievers, for relief you can count on, until we find a cure.
If you're going out tonight to see some stars, don't forget Aurora. If you're going to buy someone crystal, don't forget the Prism. Don't forget your GM MasterCard, today's financial vehicle.
Housing Secretary Henry Cisneros reached an out-of-court settlement today with his former mistress. Linda Medlar had sued Cisneros for allegedly reneging on an agreement to pay her $4,000 a month. Under the settlement, Medlar will get $49,000. In Los Angeles today, friends and family remembered murder victim Nicole Brown Simpson on what would have been her 36th birthday. In court, meanwhile, defense attorneys were trying anew to raise doubts about the scientific evidence that points ever more powerfully to O.J. Simpson as the probable killer. Correspondent Bill Whitaker is covering the Simpson trial.
With a mountain of DNA evidence to overcome, Simpson's attorneys kept pushing their core theory that the DNA is unbelievable because blood samples were tainted and tampered with in a sophisticated LAPD frame-up.
Mr. Sims, you are not part of any conspiracy to tamper with evidence in this case, are you?
No, I'm not.
But Mr. Sims, do you know, from your own personal knowledge, how and when that blood got on the sock?
No.
Sometimes dry, always technical, DNA is the great battlefield in this trial. For most of this week, prosecution DNA expert Gary Sims walked jurors down what the prosecution calls the trail of blood, a trail of DNA. Sims analyzed most of the blood evidence in the case and says the statistical odds are it was Simpson's blood near the bodies. Murder victims Ron Goldman and Nicole Simpson's blood in the Bronco. Nicole's blood on Simpson's own socks. Today, prosecutors fought to bolster the blood evidence with bloody coroner's photos, which they say further implicate Simpson.
And then pulling with one hand her hair and pulling her head back, which would obviously then expose the full area of the neck, and then with his right hand taking a knife and drawing it across.
Simpson's attorneys want to keep the photos out, but they made a tactical decision not to fight to keep out DNA, and instead fight everything else.
Instead of attacking the DNA science, the defense has decided to embrace it. And that might not be the right tactic, given that there are jurors who've said that they doubt science in general.
The DNA battle is so hot that today prosecutors accuse the defense of unethically spiriting away blood evidence from the murder scene. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
No doubt DNA is key evidence. The key question is how it's going over with the jury in Judge Ito's courtroom, where writer Dominic Dunn of Vanity Fair magazine has a permanent seat and joins us again as our expert witness. Did or did not this testimony, taken as a whole on DNA, play in the courtroom as damaging as it appeared to come across on television?
Absolutely. Absolutely damaging. I think it affected everyone.
How did the jury respond to this?
I'm particularly interested in juror number 4 and juror number 5. The other day, I found them deeply troubled, deeply troubled. It was as if what they hadn't wanted to believe, they finally began to believe. But today, when Barry Scheck began the cross-examination, what I saw was the beginning of a sort of just a tiny smile in the corner of the male juror's lips, as if, well, he's back on safe ground again, where he wanted to be.
You talked to a lot of journalists. For a long while you said, rightly or wrongly, that the general sense was, one, O.J. Simpson might very well be acquitted, and two, if he weren't acquitted, that the odds were strong, at least among the journalists, that he would get a hung jury. Anything change that with this DNA testimony?
This DNA testimony is absolutely overwhelming. I don't know how much more evidence they need, but I have to tell you, Dan, that I still predict it will be a hung jury.
Dominic Dunn, thank you. His opinion. Just ahead, student protesters sloshed in Oshkosh.
Denture wearers, guess what? New Polident works so fast it cleans and fights denture odor in just 5 minutes. You'll love New Polident, honey. Works in just 5 minutes.
Now Polident saves you time and money. Look for this $1 coupon in Sunday's paper.
It's a great time to be silver because you're over 50 and you haven't lost your edge. Now there's a Centrum made just for you. Centrum Silver for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
So you can't keep up with your old ma, huh? Not with this headache. Where's your Tylenol? Oh, it's Advil now. Mom, you never used anything but Tylenol. Well, times change. There you go. These days it's Advil for me. Is that right? Oh, yeah. See, 2 Advil work better on tough headaches than any 2 extra-strength Tylenol. Welcome to the 90s, Mom. Why, thank you.
For safe and effective pain relief, Advil. Nothing is proven to work better or last longer.
Looks good, huh?
Spaghetti.
Not now.
Salad. Now.
Not now.
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 Real Italian meals don't begin without the Parmesan cheese that's always 100% Parmesan. No fillers. Kraft 100% grated Parmesan cheese. Now you can eat.
I'm Charles Osgood with a special profile.
Why has one of America's top playwrights written a new play about a dog? I'll talk with A.R. Gurney this Sunday morning.
They were beaten and tortured in a Honduran jail. Their crime? There was no crime. Where was the U.S. Embassy during all this? 60 Minutes, Sunday.
Western European countries today banned all imports of monkeys from Zaire in the latest precaution against the possible spread of the deadly Ebola virus. In Zaire, Ebola deaths rose today to 89 as the government there decided to ease its roadblock around the Ebola outbreak hot zone. People were bribing their way out of the quarantine anyway. Across this nation's midsection today, people were picking up the wreckage scattered by dozens of tornadoes. The worst damage was in Tennessee, where more than 100 buildings were destroyed this week. At least 4 people were killed and 80 injured. Power lines were knocked down and tens of thousands of people were left without electricity. A barroom brawl is heating up in one Midwestern state. Wisconsin is debating now whether to break ranks with the rest of the United States and lower the legal age for drinking. CBS News correspondent Frank Courier reports.
It's the talk of the taverns from Wausau to Waukesha. Flowing like beer, the debate over whether Wisconsin should be first in the nation to let 19-year-olds buy alcohol.
I'm against it. I think they're too young. All the 19-year-olds are in the bars around here anyways with fake IDs.
I think it's a bad idea. I'd leave it alone.
In a state with more corner taps than coffee shops and a brewing industry that made Milwaukee famous, university students petitioned state lawmakers to lower the age.
You could be governor of the state of Wisconsin at the age of 18. You can own a tavern at the age of 18. You can get married and have kids. You can fight in a war and die, but you can't have a beer.
But it would cost Wisconsin $20 million unless Congress ends its threat to cut off highway funds from states that drop the drinking age below 21. Governor Tommy Thompson calls it blackmail.
But I don't know if we would change it from 21 to 20 or to 19. I think 20 is the proper age. But why should the federal government decide what is the drinking age for all the states?
Critics yelled, "I told you so," last month when police in Oshkosh, Wisconsin clashed with a mob of college students who vandalized the downtown after underage drinkers were arrested at a keg party.
They all go out, they get drunk, and look what happens. They bust the town up. This is unbelievable.
While advocates here on campus argue drinking legally in supervised taverns is much safer than doing it illegally in parked cars in cornfields, police along Wisconsin's borders say the new law would only promote a fatal parade of young, drunk drivers.
They used to call it blood border, and if this law passes in Wisconsin, I could foresee it being called blood border again.
1, 2. Alcohol-related highway deaths were nearly 20% higher before 1986, when Wisconsin's drinking age was 18, when teenagers border hopped from Illinois, got drunk, and died speeding home. Irene Silva remembers she fought hard to raise the legal age after her only daughter Judy was killed.
I hope to God they don't do it. I mean, I really pray to God they don't. So if we have to fight it, we will fight it.
Yes, ready. The debate over age and who should decide will echo from Wisconsin to Washington, with a troubling footnote from many 19-year-olds who warn we're going to drink anyway, then ask, why not simply make it legal? Frank Courier, CBS News, Madison, Wisconsin.
The United States and Japan are squared off for a test of wills on trade starting at midnight tonight. That's when steep retaliatory import tariffs take effect on Japanese luxury cars coming into the U.S. Today, Nissan and Toyota unloaded hundreds of Lexus and Infinitis in Florida, switching ports of entry just in time to beat the deadline. Still ahead on the Friday CBS Evening News, Eye on America, and then the thrill of victory.
Because of the quality care standards, take care of a customer is more than just fixing a car. Can you describe the noise? It's a little. It's about listening, it's about communication. It's about getting the customer more involved. We'll call you about 10:30, 11. How many miles do you have on the car? You have to ask the right questions. You have to let them know that you're committed. We want you to be a customer for life. Your keys? And we thank you very much for doing business with us.
Quality care people, quality care standards at your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer.
Come on, guys.
Hi, Fran. How are you? Coffee and a jelly fill. Complete bran flakes. He stares like I can't make a change. What's with you? I look like this when I joined the force? Well, no. I eat junk all day. I come home, I say I'm going to work out. I never do. I got to do something.
Thousands of people have started turning their lives around with 4 little words. Kellogg's Complete Bran Flakes.
Hey, Fran. Can I make a switch here? I feel like I'm married to you.
Kellogg's Complete Bran Flakes. It's a start.
Discover the first in a unique class of pain reliever, Zostrix. Even though prescriptions have never been required, doctors prescribe the Zostrix brand more than all other topical arthritis pain relievers combined. Zostrix, physician strength relief, is in your hands.
My son is bringing his lady friend for dinner, and I've got such gas. So I take my Lanta gas relief gel caps with the best and only medicine for gas relief and an advanced gel cap. I feel great. Can't wait to meet her.
Well, we're here with tropical fish dealer Rudy Laszlo, who thinks his zipper bags are fine and won't switch to Gladlock zipper bags.
That's correct.
Rudy, what do you say we drop these piranhas here into your little fish heaven?
Nope.
Sealed in either your bag or the Gladlock bag with the yellow and blue make green seal, which means the bag is closed. Your bag doesn't have a green seal.
These are my little friends. Use the Gladlock.
When it really counts, get Gladlock. Can you hear that? They're applauding you. Rudy, Rudy, Rudy.
With 4 of the toughest holes on the PGA Tour, precision driving can make all the difference. The Buick Classic this weekend on CBS.
$100,000 to pay off just one federal worker who charged bias, and she's one of many. Are they really victims, or are you? Monday on the CBS Evening News.
A championship boxing match turned out to be a death sentence for a young fighter from Colombia. Jimmy Garcia needed brain surgery after he was badly battered 2 weeks ago by super featherweight champion Gabriel Ruelas. He died today at a hospital in Las Vegas. Jimmy Garcia was 24. The question of convicted criminals making money from telling their stories is heating up again. The Massachusetts State Supreme Court has decided no, you can't, in the case of Catherine Ann Power, The one-time violent radical fugitive surrendered in 1993 after going underground for 23 years to avoid charges of killing a police officer in 1970. The Catherine Ann Power story is just one example. Sometimes convicted criminals do profit from selling their stories, a situation that crime victims see as insult added to injury. Case in point. The story correspondent Anthony Mason tells us now in tonight's Eye on America.
At Washington's Law Enforcement Memorial last weekend, Maureen Faulkner went looking for her husband. There, etched in marble, she found him. Slain Philadelphia police officer Daniel Faulkner.
I just can't believe that the man that killed him is a celebrity. He's become a celebrity. It's just...
In bookstores all over the country this month, Maureen Faulkner has again been faced with her husband's convicted killer on the cover of his new book, Live from Death Row by Mumia Abu-Jamal.
We knew when we published this book that it would be controversial.
Maureen Faulkner sent her response airmail.
Addison Wesley Publishing Company is financially rewarding a cop killer.
Addison Wesley paid a $30,000 advance to Abu-Jamal, a former Black Panther and award-winning radio reporter, for what publisher David Gehring calls an important book.
He has written a very articulate, very impassioned account of what it's like to be on death row.
I'd like to see how David Gehring would feel if it was his wife.
Daniel Faulkner was 25 when he was shot 13 years ago.
13 years later, I remember everything.
They'd been married only a year when Daniel's colleagues came to her door.
They told me that my husband had been shot, and the police get dressed and come down to the hospital.
Brigitte!
I remember a doctor coming in, and he just looked down at me and said to me, I'm sorry, he's gone.
We feel sympathy for Mrs. Faulkner. At the same time, because the message contained in Live from Death Row is disturbing, is not a reason not to publish it.
But should Abu-Jamal profit from it? In 1977, when confessed serial killer David Berkowitz, known as Son of Sam, tried to sell his story, New York State passed a law to stop criminals from profiting from their crimes. But in 1991, the Supreme Court declared New York's so-called Son of Sam law unconstitutional, ruling that it violated the First Amendment by unfairly singling out a criminal's earnings from speech and writing. But that hasn't stopped the state of Pennsylvania. This month, it passed a new law.
This law is a direct result of this case.
Pennsylvania Representative Mike McGeehan wrote the new law to close the constitutional loopholes.
To attempt to seize that money, because it's such an affront, not only to his family members and his widow, but to everybody who believes that criminals shouldn't profit from their crime.
But Abu-Jamal's attorney says the book is not about the murder.
So I think this case, this book, is entirely outside of the bounds of anything like a Son of Sam law.
He would have nothing to write about if he did not take a gun and shoot my husband point blank, 2 inches into his face.
From prison, Abu-Jamal has repeatedly claimed his innocence.
Fighting for my life and fighting to create revolution in America.
But so far, his appeals have failed. Prison officials are not allowing Abu-Jamal to be interviewed. His death warrant could be signed any day. At a vigil for slain officers last weekend, Maureen Faulkner lit a candle for her husband. Amidst all the controversy, Daniel Faulkner's is the one voice that can't be heard. In Washington, I'm Anthony Mason for Eye on America.
Going to Hawaii. Why did I buy a bikini? Wonder what I'd look like sitting.
When you're trying for a certain look.
Putting on suntan lotion. What else? Walking.
Help get that look by including Kellogg's Special K. Great toasted taste, 110 calories, and fat-free.
Oh, bikini. Yeah, I'd say that rhymes with aloha.
Kellogg's Special K. Great taste never looks so good.
There are sure to be a few records set during the 1996 Olympic Games. And as the official airline, Delta has already set one. Of all U.S. airlines, only Delta flies smoke-free on every flight to every city worldwide. It's not something we did to win a gold medal. We did it so you could breathe a little easier. Delta Airlines.
Which plant food is best for you? Just ask these prize-winning gardeners.
I taught gardening for 10 years, and I used to tell my students, Miracle Grow will get you started right.
Miracle Grow feeds the plants two ways, through the leaves and through the roots.
Miracle Grow gives you more flowers on every bush.
People ask me, why do my 250 rose bushes do so beautifully? And I tell them I feed them Miracle Grow.
You'll never know what a great gardener you can be until you use Miracle Grow.
Is the sliding door on your minivan really such a big deal? It can be. Introducing Odyssey. With 4 doors and an easy fold-away rear seat, it's not just a minivan, it's a Honda.
It's no secret that men are different from women. So for our one-a-day men's formula, we've increased levels of antioxidants, as well as B vitamins. People are different, so is one-a-day. We've got the one for you.
In keeping with our tradition of reporting on the latest in American culture, CBS News correspondent John Blackstone takes us tonight to beautiful Northern California for the annual bird calling competition and what could be the swan song.
Piedmont, California does not seem like a place for spectacle. Piedmont is a town of tree-lined streets where you can usually hear the gentle chirping of birds. But for 30 years, Leonard J. Waxdeck turned the children of this town into some of the noisiest creatures on earth. Leonard Waxdeck was a biology teacher who started the annual bird calling contest at Piedmont High 32 years ago.
The common loon.
But this year's competition is supposed to be the last. Waxdeck died a few months ago.
I miss him. It's not as much fun around here.
Please welcome Leonard J. Waxdeck. Leonard, come on.
Each year, Waxdeck proved just how far you could go with a good bird call. He always took the winners onto national TV.
Very special tradition. And it puts Piedmont on the map, too. We like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Look at that competition. It's fabulous.
Over the years, a lot of bird calling secrets have been passed down among the town's young people.
It has to do with how clean your teeth are, and the cleaner your teeth are, the better your sound is.
I like a squeaky clean glass.
Can I tell you? Many in Piedmont are hoping to keep the contest going in memory of Leonard J. Waxdeck, because the town just wouldn't seem the same if the springtime air were not filled with birdsong. John Blackstone, CBS News, Piedmont, California.
And that's part of our world tonight. Before we leave, we'd like to salute our new Cleveland affiliate, WOIO-TV Channel 19. The station is one of the sponsors of a neighborhood renewal project celebrating Cleveland's bicentennial. Our own Bob Schieffer pitched in today to put up the first of 40 new homes in the bicentennial village. We wish them well and a warm welcome to our friends at WOIO. Bob Schieffer will be back in New York and have the news for you tomorrow. Don't forget 60 Minutes on Sunday night. Have a good weekend.
This is CBS. Attention all stations concerned. There will be an update of the CBS Evening News.